Welcome to the Morning Walk with Murty Digital Stroll.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, and today we're drawing on a brilliantly critical piece from the veteran Linux observer Joey Sneddon over at OMG Ubuntu, alongside the official documentation from the Starling project itself.
Right.
It's always vital to acknowledge a fellow traveler's spark,
Yeah.
Their groundwork is exactly what makes our exploration possible today.
Oh, absolutely. It truly is the perfect kindling. That spark from the trenches of the open source community really gives us something tangible to examine.
It does. And today, we are looking at something that feels honestly like actual science fiction.
Yeah, it really does.
Because what if I told you that a solo developer, armed only with an AI coding assistant, built an entire fully functioning operating system desktop environment in just 6 months?
Just 6 months. I mean, we are talking about a project scale that normally requires massive institutions and, decades of coordinated human labor to pull off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why we're putting this through the digital prism today.
Yes. In this Gurukul session, we are extracting the legacy code of Project Antaryami.
Right.
Guided by the overarching vision of lead architect Murty BVNS, as the wisdom seeker here, I have to ask how this kind of hyper-accelerated digital migration changes the foundational wisdom of how we build the digital world.
Right, because the fundamental constraint of software development, which is human time, just seems to be evaporating.
Totally.
But as the strategic auditor for our strolls, I have to bring some heavy skepticism to this right out of the gate.
Oh, I expect nothing less.
We are auditing this project called Starling. And the claim here is 335,000 lines of first-party Swift, C, and C++ code.
That is a lot of code.
Pushed across like 2,000 commits by one person in half a year.
Staggering.
My immediate thought is this actually structural good code? Or did the AI just vomit a massive amount of bloated text?
Right.
Because, voluminous doesn't automatically mean structurally sound.
No, it is a completely fair suspicion. I mean, whenever you hear about generative AI writing hundreds of thousands of lines of code, the instinct is to assume it's a fragile mock-up.
Yeah, like a Figma design posing as an operating system.
Exactly. But the technological underpinnings of Starling suggest something much more robust.
Okay, let's unpack that.
This isn't just a browser-based parlor trick. It is a real Wayland compositor and an X server running natively at the exact same time.
Okay, let's break that down for the listener, because those are heavy terms.
Yeah, good idea.
In the Linux world, X11 is essentially the old guard traffic cop, right? It dictates how windows are drawn on your screen.
Right.
And Wayland is the new modern traffic cop. Getting both of these display protocols to run natively side by side without crashing, that usually takes massive teams, years of painstaking optimization.
Precisely. And Starling is doing this while communicating directly with the GPU via DRM KMS.
Which is the direct rendering manager in kernel mode setting, meaning it is bypassing the usual middlemen. It is talking directly to the physical graphics hardware.
Yes.
It owns the display, just like a traditional heavyweight operating system shell like GNOME or Windows.
Exactly like that.
But how did one person and an LLM actually achieve that level of deep hardware integration in 6 months? It has to be a shortcut, right?
There is, actually. It's a massive technical shortcut, and it's a brilliantly clever architectural decision.
Okay, I'm listening.
The creator used AI to effectively rewrite the UI framework layer of Flutter.
Flutter, right. The UI toolkit built by Google.
Yeah, which is usually written in a language called Dart.
Okay.
So the AI translated that entire Dart framework into Swift, but, and this is the crucial part, they intentionally left Flutter's C++ rendering engine completely untouched.
Wait, why would they translate the UI framework but leave the rendering engine alone? Like, why not just have the AI rewrite the whole thing?
Because the C++ engine is the heavy lifter. That's the part that actually draws the pixels on the screen.
Oh, I see.
By keeping that core intact, the Starling architecture allows for something called zero-copy GPU buffer sharing.
Okay, I want to make sure we make this perfectly clear for you listening. In older or less efficient systems, when an application wants to draw a window, it creates an image of that window in its own memory.
Right.
Then the system has to literally copy that image over into the main system memory so the compositor can grab it and paste it onto the screen.
Yes, and that copying takes processing power.
And it takes time.
Exactly. It creates lag. It creates overhead.
But zero copy means exactly what it sounds like.
No copying.
Right. Think of it this way. Instead of an application painting a picture, handing it to a courier, and having the courier carry it to the gallery wall, the application just paints directly on the gallery wall.
I love that analogy.
The compositor just points to it and says, there it is. No copying. It's incredibly efficient.
Which leads us to what the Starling website proudly calls its realness test.
The realness test.
Yeah. A desktop environment isn't impressive if it can only run like a calculator app that was custom built for it.
Sure.
The true test is whether it can host a chaotic ecosystem of programs written by total strangers years apart using completely different toolkits.
And Starling passes this.
It does. The creator demonstrates it compositing heavy legacy X11 clients like Zoom and modern Wayland clients like Google Chrome onto the exact same screen flawlessly.
Wow. Think about the magnitude of that. It's as if someone used AI to generate the blueprints for a skyscraper, 3D printed the physical structure in a week, and then proved it was safe by letting Chrome and Zoom rent out the penthouse suites.
Right.
And surprisingly, the building isn't collapsing.
It really forces us to acknowledge a massive paradigm shift. As the wisdom seeker, I look at this and see a very sharp argument from the Starling creator. The cost of building a desktop just collapsed.
The cost is basically zero.
Exactly. The true legacy code here isn't Starling itself. The legacy code is the realization that human labor is no longer the primary constraint for digital imagination. The floor has moved.
Zero-cost creation sounds like a developer's utopia.
It does.
But a grand architectural vision is only as durable as the foundation it lands on. When this instant AI-generated structure meets the established open-source community people who have been painstakingly laying bricks by hand for 30 years, that utopia shatters pretty quickly.
Oh, the friction is intense. And Joey Sneddon's critique in OMG, Ubuntu captures that clash perfectly.
He does not hold back.
Not at all. He doesn't buy the utopian narrative for a second.
No, he actively takes a sledgehammer to it. He notes that whatever genuine human impetus existed to build this project is completely buried under what he calls profundity slop and polyester prose.
Oh, polyester prose. That is a devastatingly accurate label for a very modern phenomenon.
It perfectly describes those long blocks of text generated by a large language model that look flashy, use $10 words, and sound incredibly self-important.
But lack any sincere underlying logic.
Exactly. It's the illusion of meaning. It feels cheap, mass-produced, and synthetic, just like polyester.
And Sneddon applies this critique directly to the project's core claim of uniqueness.
Right, because the Starling website leans heavily on the narrative that this is a historic first.
Yeah, this idea of a complex desktop built by one person, acting alone, manifesting a bold idea.
Which Sneddon immediately fact-checks.
Yes.
He points right to the Enlightenment desktop environment. Enlightenment was built by one person, acting alone, back in 1997, entirely without AI.
This is a crucial piece of Gurukul 2.0 wisdom right here.
How so?
AI tools often generate a kind of historical amnesia. Because the generative technology is unprecedented, the assumption is that the achievement must also be unprecedented.
Oh, that's a great point.
But human ingenuity has always found a way to punch above its weight class. We didn't need LLMs to have sole developers change the landscape.
No, we didn't. And when you look past the polyester prose on the website and actually boot up the system, the visual reality doesn't quite match the grand claims of bold ideas.
No, it really doesn't.
Sneddon charitably describes the user interface as Timo macOS Mojave in dark mode.
That is a brutal assessment of the aesthetics.
But looking at the screenshots, it's accurate. It's a dock at the bottom, a panel at the top, a clock in the corner.
Yeah.
It's a patchwork of testige that actually looks really dated. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just using an industrial 3D printer to spit out a replica of a 10-year-old wheel really fast.
Which brings up a profound philosophical tension between traditional constrained coding and this new era of instant generation.
Sneddon drops a quote in his article that I just can't stop thinking about. He says, "What costs nothing to make costs nothing to abandon."
Such a powerful line.
Are we witnessing the birth of fast fashion for operating systems? Is this just vibe-coded software that looks fantastic in the digital storefront, but the second you put it in the wash, the seams rip apart?
That is the exact danger. Traditional software is forged through the painful carrying of costs.
Right.
Human constraints like limited time, limited energy, limited funding, they force developers to make careful, lasting decisions.
Because you have to build it right. You simply cannot afford the thousands of hours it would take to build it twice.
Exactly. Those constraints breed structural integrity.
Because the pain of fixing a bad foundational choice 3 years down the line is excruciating for a human team.
Yes. But AI entirely bypasses those constraints. It bypasses the cost of iteration.
which radically accelerates creation.
It does, but it also strips away the deep intentionality that makes open source communities thrive over decades. You can prompt a million lines of code into existence, but you cannot prompt commitment.
No.
You cannot prompt community trust.
If the developer gets bored next week, they can just abandon Starling and prompt a totally different operating system into existence.
Exactly.
The stakes for the creator are zero, but the stakes for the user are incredibly high.
Which is why we have to look beyond the theoretical critique and audit the tangible user experience.
Right.
Because for all the valid criticism about polyester prose and fast fashion code, Starling does attempt some genuinely complex physical UI features that traditional desktops struggle with.
It does. Let's talk about the glass effect, because this is where the AI's raw coding output really flexes its muscles.
Oh, this part is fascinating.
We've all seen blurred backgrounds on docks and panels in macOS or Windows 11, but Starling actually uses a GPU fragment shader to compute real glass effects on a per-pixel basis.
That is computationally wild. Most desktops just apply a Gaussian blur.
Right, which is essentially just smudging whatever pixels happen to be behind the panel to create a frosted look.
Yeah, it's an optical illusion.
But Starling actually uses Snell's law.
Snell's law?
Yeah, the fundamental physics equation that describes how light bends when passing from one medium to another. The desktop is literally calculating how virtual light would bend and refract if it were passing through a physical three-dimensional piece of curved glass on your screen. Wow. It is rendering the physics of light, not just smudging pixels.
That requires a deep understanding of shader programming and GPU mathematics.
It also features incredibly smooth hot plugging for monitors, allowing for per-display scaling.
Oh, anyone who uses Linux knows about that struggle.
Right. If you've ever tried to plug a 4K monitor and a 1080p monitor into a Linux machine at the same time, you know that getting the scaling right on both displays simultaneously has historically been a massive headache.
A total nightmare.
But Starling claims to handle it flawlessly, and it allows you to seamlessly toggle your entire workflow between a floating window manager, like a standard Mac, and a tiling window manager, where everything snaps to a rigid grid with just a single switch.
Those are highly desired complex features. Usually you need a fragile stack of third-party extensions in established desktop environments to get that to work.
Exactly.
So the technical capability to manifest complex features quickly is undeniably present.
It is, but, and this is a big but, if you're tempted to download this right now just to see those Snell's law glass effects in action, you might want to test it on a spare machine.
Highly recommended.
Because the harsh reality of this AI fast fashion is brutal. If you want to install the 0.2.2 preview build today, it's available as a Debian package. But it specifically requires you to be running Ubuntu 26.04.
Which isn't even out yet.
Right. And it strictly requires an AMD GPU. If you have Intel or NVIDIA graphics, the system won't even start.
It also currently lacks basic security features like a screen lock, and the audio is fundamentally broken.
And perhaps most terrifyingly, Sneddon points out the sheer danger of what is being asked of the user here.
The security risk.
Yes, you are installing pre-stable, randomly generated, vibe-coded software with root permissions. It has the keys to your entire kingdom. One user on the project's GitHub reported that simply installing the package corrupted their entire system install.
Oh, wow. The fast fashion analogy holds up perfectly then. The garment looks incredibly stylish in the runway, but the moment you put it on, it gives you a severe allergic reaction.
So how is the broader community of fellow travelers digesting all of this? The comments section of Sneddon's article is a goldmine of differing perspectives on this digital migration.
It really serves as a perfect cross-section of the current tech zeitgeist. The anxiety is palpable.
Oh, totally. First, you have the absolute terror of AI abandonware. One user literally quoted Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park.
Oh, the classic line.
You were so preoccupied with whether or not you could, you didn't stop to think if you should.
It's an apt warning. I mean, they are crossing practical and ethical boundaries of system stability just to see if the AI can do it, without any real plan to maintain the monster they've just cloned.
Then you have the pragmatists.
Right.
These are the users who see Starling not as a daily driver, but as a massive, blaring wake-up call.
Yeah. Their argument is essentially, look, if one guy with an AI assistant can build a natively compositing Wayland desktop with Snell's law shaders and seamless display scaling in 6 months, what on earth is taking the established, heavily funded desktop community so long?
Exactly. They view it as a necessary shock to the system for the old guard.
which is a valid form of competitive pressure. Innovation from the fringe, even if it is unstable, often forces the established center to move faster and stop resting on its laurels.
True. But the comment that truly stopped me in my tracks was from a user who shared their own recent experience with these tools.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't build a desktop like Starling, but they used AI to build a hyper-complex, Queebs-like custom virtualization setup.
For listeners who might not know, Queebs OS is an insanely secure operating system where every single application is isolated in its own virtual vault.
Edward Snowden famously uses it.
Yes, it is notoriously difficult to configure.
It is. It requires deep knowledge of networking and hypervisors.
Yeah.
But this user used AI to patch Wayland, create secure metadata bridges, isolate host machines, and build a Tor gateway.
Incredible.
They generated an insanely complex security architecture customized entirely for their specific needs, and they did it in 2 weeks while they were on holiday.
That is the ultimate proof of the democratizing power of these tools. It is no longer theoretical.
So let me challenge that democratization narrative for a second as the strategic auditor.
Go for it.
If you as a listener possess a magic wand that can generate a flawlessly tailored, hyper-complex operating system just for you, do you even need a community standard anymore?
Oh, that's a deep question.
Do we need Geonomy? Do we need Windows? Or does the future look like 8 billion personalized operating systems, each perfectly tailored to a user's exact neuroquirks and workflow preferences?
This is where we extract the ultimate lesson for Project Antaryami. The tools of creation have undeniably been distributed to the masses.
They have.
Now, the immediate risk is obvious, and severe installing random vibe-coded software generated by an AI onto your root system is incredibly dangerous.
It will corrupt your data.
It can and will because it lacks human security oversight. But the paradigm shift itself, that is permanently etched into the legacy code.
The genie is out of the bottle.
Completely. The fact that a single curious person can manifest a deeply complex interacting system of this magnitude changes the baseline of what is possible. The standard will no longer be dictated solely by what massive institutions have the budget to build, but by what individuals have the imagination to prompt.
So what does this all mean for you navigating this digital stroll alongside us? Let's pull the threads together.
Let's do it.
We've unpacked the sheer technical marvel of a 335,000-line desktop environment willed into existence natively on a GPU in just 6 months.
We've also examined the fierce, highly necessary pushback against the polyester prose that often masks a lack of deep human commitment in these generated projects.
And we've audited the messy, glitchy, system-corrupting, yet undeniably fascinating reality of trying to actually use Starling today.
The relevance here transcends just Linux enthusiasts or software engineers. Whether you are a programmer writing code, a manager designing complex workflows, or simply someone trying to navigate an accelerating digital world, the fundamental barrier to bringing your boldest, most complex ideas to life is collapsing in real time.
It is. You no longer need a massive institution behind you to build an institution-sized project. The skyscraper could be built in a week, and the guests can check in.
Yeah.
But as we reach the end of our path today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over on your own time.
The true test of this Gurukul 2.0 wisdom lies in how we adapt to this abundance of creation.
Exactly. If AI is rapidly dropping the cost of creating massive, complex systems down to absolute zero, will the true currency of the future shift entirely to maintenance?
Oh, that is the question.
Think about it. When literally anyone can build a universe in 6 months, will the most valuable humans in the digital age simply be the patient, committed stewards who are willing to stick around and fix the plumbing when the pipes inevitably burst?
A vital question for the next generation of builders. Who maintains the magic?
Anyone can generate the blueprint. Anyone can let the AI throw up the drywall. But who is going to change the sheets, fix the elevator, and ensure the foundation doesn't sink into the mud a year from now? Thank you for joining us on this Gurukul session. Keep questioning the code, and we'll see you on the next Digital Stroll.